The Evening Brothers are proud to present Twinkie Talk.
Hello, everybody. I am Cyber Lincoln. Welcome to Twinkie Talk, Techno Twinkie Talk, brought to you by the Robo Evening Brothers.
Beep beep bop. I'm 3 GB brother John from space or the internet or whatever.
Welcome, 3 GB brother
Thank
John.
you.
I am Cyber
Thank
Lincoln.
you, Cyber Lincoln.
I have embodied this podcast.
That's horrible news.
And I am Brother Preston, who's a very
That's-
technical boy.
That's human brother Preston.
Preston is a very technical boy. Human brother, 3 gig John, and Cyber Lincoln.
Hey, John.
All for the ages.
Will you
yeah,
stand
what's
up
up?
and show us your cardigan real quick?
My cardigan? I don't think I need to stand for you to see this. Little
Well, I
got
need
on.
the,
Oh, you want the whole situation?
I want
Okay,
the whole
well,
situation here.
Here, does that do it for you? I got pajama
Yeah,
pants
it's perfect.
on too.
Preston, I have a question. We've been doing, 11 podcast episodes so far, and I don't think there's been a single one where you haven't tried to introduce a visual element to our audio medium.
Like, I'm a very visual person, I like to set
you're a
the
very
scene
technical
for
boy
our
as well.
listeners. So they have an image in their mind of what exactly is happening
Yes.
in the situation.
Yeah, I see. So, Johnny Mnemonic, I want to restrain discussion to just the short story first, because I want to hear what you guys think of it. So, I guess I'll talk about it. Johnny Mnemonic is a short sci-fi story. It's a dystopian story written by William Gibson. It's about a guy named Johnny Mnemonic, and his the kind of story is that he's transmitting information using his brain as like a physical media, a way of transferring digital data. So it's this future where, sending over the internet is sometimes insecure, and so they hire physical people to transmit information, and he has no idea what he's carrying, and he ends up carrying the wrong information and has to run away from a Yakuza assassin that's been sent to kill him. What do you guys think of the story? I'll just put my cards on the table. I thought it was excellent. I think it's an excellent display of world building and showing and not telling, and I think it's a great little story.
Yeah, I feel like so here's two things. One, I felt like it would be out of line for me to fully do the homework because whenever in school they said, hey, you should read this thing, I didn't do it at all, which didn't also feel right to do for this. So I read the beginning of it while I was making dinner, and then I read the end of it, and there's a good portion of the middle chunk that I didn't read. But what I read, I really enjoyed.
Okay, did you like the killing floor?
The killing floor, I think, was part of what I went on ahead and skipped.
I see. Preston, what do you think of the killing floor?
No, hold on. Now, I want to tell you my thoughts on the killing floor because I seem...
go
I'm
ahead.
actively regretting not reading this because it sounds kind of awesome. Did you read it? Did you do the homework?
No, I fully read it, for sure.
He fully read it.
Yeah, I know. About 30 seconds before I rented the movie too, so I was really trying to follow your instructions, Lincoln. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was all right.
I'm so impressed.
I definitely don't have as glowing of a review as you do, Lincoln. I think it's kind of on par with every other sci-fi short story I've ever read.
every one of them?
Every single other one, even the ones he made in middle school.
I thought we weren't supposed to talk about his Next Generation fanfics. I thought that was like...
No, I think that's fair game. We're fair game with
that was one of the rules.
Next Generation fan.
Yeah, okay.
It's not.
Cool.
I mean, yeah, you can talk about them as much as you want, John, because they don't exist. So
I have some...
You just go to town.
Sure they don't. I do. Speaking of going to town, I have some really interesting opinions on how you handled the character of Data and his sexual prowess in those fan fictions. I thought that was kind of a weird turn.
Well, only because you read the beginning and then the end. You didn't read any of the juicy stuff in the middle.
That's true. Yeah, I did. I did tend to skip a lot of your work.
Oh, goodness.
I like when Preston makes a joke that sounds like a joke that Lincoln or I would make, and then he realizes it, and then he goes, "Oh, that's on the internet."
He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, everyone."
That's fun.
Yep.
No, I thought it was good
well,
though. It set me up world building wise. I thought that this was going to be how do you say it? Good movie. That's good.
A movie.
a film slash story.
Yeah. Well, Preston, do you want to tell John what the killing floor is? Because I have lots of opinions about the killing floor.
I will attempt to explain it, and you can go ahead and tell me when I'm wrong and fix it all.
So, like, just business as usual.
Wow. Goodness, we're on one already. From what I got from the story, it is this walkway that is suspended that moves around, that is wired into a sound system for some really gnarly dance battles.
Yeah. It's basically a giant room. The story says as if someone threaded steel wire through a junkyard and pulled it taut. It's just this big suspended steel room high up in the city, and all of the like springs that it's resting on are hooked up to amplifiers. And so the movement on the killing floor produces giant, loud, like synthesized bass noises.
That's pretty sick. Why didn't they do that
in
this movie?
It's one of the most cinematic things I can imagine, and I have no idea why it wasn't included at all, even a little bit.
Should have read the middle.
I should have read the middle. I actually should have exclusively read the middle is what I'm learning.
Yeah. So wait, what was the first sentence of the end that you did read?
Whatever the first.
Like, where'd you pick back up?
The last paragraph.
Because the killing floor is like the second to last, just the last paragraph.
Yeah.
So
do you know who the dolphin?
Yeah.
is?
Yeah. No.
Did you get to the dolphin?
I got to the dolphin. And I'm glad I did, because I think I would have had a stroke if I wasn't prepared a little bit for the concept of cyber dolphin.
So William Gibson wrote this movie. He wrote the short story, and then he decided to write the movie.
Wrote the screenplay.
Wait, did he actually write the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, he also wrote the screenplay.
I did a triple take where I rewound it twice to make sure that I had read correctly that the author of this short story also wrote this movie.
Genuine question, because the short story felt competent. Was there did he get hit by like a bus or?
Well, there's some even more interesting trivia that's going to come up right now.
All right, fire away.
I'm about to get into. So the movie is in pre-production, and they hire on a guy named Robert Longo, and he is a artist. He's a painter and a drawer. He draws with charcoal, and this is the first movie he ever directed in his life, and also the only movie he's ever directed in his life.
I could see that.
You don't say.
But he previously had worked on music videos and TV, and this is his only feature film he's ever directed. And the movie was set to be kind of marketed as a B movie, but since Speed did so well, they decided that the next Keanu Reeves venture was going to be really heavily marketed as like a full-on action thriller.
Oh, much like many of our current national problems, Speed is the issue. Speed the movie.
Speed is the issue.
Yeah.
Speed the movie starring Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. Really, really too bad, because it's a good flick, and it's
a great time, but it started
doesn't deserve to have caused so many
just
problems.
like conflicts worldwide.
I'm looking at Robert Longo's art right now because Lincoln, you were taking too long. Respectfully.
Sorry.
Sure.
I sent you a link in the chat.
Once again, speed is the issue. And I cannot believe that somebody like the guy who made all of this art also made this movie.
Because the art is astounding.
It's so cool.
It's so good.
It's so cool.
I'm just gonna
click on that link, John.
Look at. I'm gonna do this. Okay. All right. I feel like an elderly. What's happening? Where do I click?
And actually, John, you're the resident artist, so tell me about what you think of this very good art.
This is good. This is cool.
It's charcoal.
That's charcoal?
It's charcoal.
Well, okay, so I have two thoughts. Thought number one, this is incredibly impressive. Like, that's insane. And then thought number two, my dude spent a long time doing like a charcoal football man, which why would you do that? What's like as an artist, why?
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. Well, anyways, I've just been obsessed with this movie, and there's just this never-ending depth of weirdness, including Robert Longo's astoundingly impressive charcoal art.
This is crazy, and it makes me sad that I sometimes tell people I'm an artist, because then people like this exist, and they might expect that from me.
So I think that's probably enough preamble about Johnny Mnemonic. So let's get into the plot. The short story wastes literally zero time explaining any of the world to you, right? It just jumps right in. This movie gives you does the good favor of giving you this amazing scrolling text to tell you everything you need to know about this universe.
Yeah.
Potentially the worst opening crawl you've ever seen in your entire life.
Yeah, because one, it's really fast.
Probably in the history of cinema.
Like it zooms by.
Yeah, I wrote here gobbledygook already.
The text is bullshit. The flashing whatever they have behind the text is horrible.
Yeah, like I'm worried about it and just how it made me feel. I feel like that got in my brain like a Manchurian Candidate kind of thing. I feel like in 10 years somebody's gonna say something about exoparticles and I'm just gonna like try to shoot somebody.
You can try to see someone with a cyber rifle.
Yeah, which is just an Uzi with an extra thing on it.
I mean, to be fair, the opening crawl is supposed to prepare you for the movie, and I feel like this does a pretty good job of preparing you for the absolute heinous monstrosity that you're about to watch.
It does. It sets the bar really low, and somehow the movie does not meet that bar.
There's two things I want to point out that are part of the text of the opening crawl. One, they say hiding like rats in the walls of the world, which is way too interesting of a phrase to exist in this movie.
Yeah.
And then the second one is it says the year is 2021 and the world is threatened with a new plague.
Yeah.
And I
figured that was going to come up at some point. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's not the only ththe that this movie somehow predicted.
What was the other thing?
All of the way that what's the word for that? Lincoln or Preston, because you're both smarter than I am and also know how to say the words. What's the thing where you put the mask on your face and you do the hand?
Virtual reality.
Yeah, VR.
Yeah, definitely predicted VR. Well,
that's what it's
VR
called.
had been an element of science fiction for a while.
Well, yeah, but like it was so specific about the way that it did it that it's like,
yeah, that's true.
This is just the metaverse. Like this is Mark Zuckerberg's virtual reality.
Wet dream.
It's probably.
It's Mark Zuckerberg watched Blade Runner and then watched Mad Max, and this is his wet dream.
Yeah, that's actually so good. That is so
but
apt.
not like Mad Max 1. It was like Beyond Thunderdome.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He didn't watch one of the like good ones.
Yeah,
and definitely
like,
not Fury Road, because that's way that would be disrespectful to Fury Road.
To be clear, he also didn't watch 2049. He watched the original Blade Runner and the third Mad Max film.
Yeah, and one of the bad cuts of Blade Runner too. So
yeah, like the second.
Yeah.
So we open with a trip through the internet in 2021. It looks a lot like the planet Cybertron. And then we have Keanu Reeves waking up in a hotel room. Tell me, what were your thoughts when you saw Keanu Reeves in this film for the first time, or when you realized he was in it?
Preston, do you want to field that one?
I don't know that I have an opinion about Keanu's opening scene.
Well, part of why I really didn't want you to research this is because it was so good to me that Keanu was in it. Like, this is like, we will probably keep referencing this, but this is really a terrible pre-Matrix kind of movie. Like, it's almost the plot of the Matrix, but every aspect of it is done poorly. And the Wachowskis saw that. I actually read they really did see that movie and think, what if we did this right?
What if we did that, but it was good?
Matrix was a direct result of Johnny Mnemonic. So I just want to know, like, I purposely hid this fact from you. So I want to know what your feelings were when you saw him and you heard his beautiful
that Keanu
voice.
was in this? And
yeah.
Well, Liam, the first thing is I had to figure out where to watch the movie. And the first thing you see when you type in Johnny Mnemonic streaming is starring Keanu Reeves.
I guess that's true. Well, anyways, how'd you feel when you saw that?
You know, this is a very Keanu movie. Like, it does not.
Well,
John?
Also, wait, didn't you say something about Keanu being in this? Because didn't we have a Keanu movie? Either way, I knew it was Keanu going into this.
Your question has crashed directly off a cliff into a ravine, but I'm here to
I'll
be
just
the
continue.
jaws of life to help you out of it, because when Keanu Reeves came on screen, because I just went on Vudu and I searched Johnny Mnemonic and I just rented it. I almost bought it for $15. Thank God I didn't do that.
I already bought it. I bought it twice now because I accidentally bought the full screen version on DVD, and then I bought the widescreen version on Apple.
Of course you did. So he showed up. I had no concept of him being in this, and it was a breath of fresh air. And then he started talking, and I realized how much better Keanu Reeves has gotten since he started acting.
He really has.
Which is crazy.
And with a script that's even kind of competent as compared to this one.
Yeah. And like a director that knows how to make people seem like human beings.
Instead of, produce beautiful charcoal drawings.
Right.
I think we've talked about this off the air before, and I want to revisit it because I think it's such a salient point. Is I spend the first 20 minutes of every Keanu Reeves movie just realizing that he talks like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a universal experience.
And this one,
I feel like this does not get better, though. Like, after the 20 minutes,
no, it never does.
He's just still going like, yeah, well, that's just how you feel about it. Like he's not, at no point do you feel like, oh, that's like a guy. He's just Keanu Reeves.
No, he's just Johnny Mnemonic.
I think as he's gotten older, the 2000s, 90s stank has just gotten filtered out just a little bit, which really helps his case so much.
It helps a lot.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
His delivery of, we've got ice. And then the woman leaves his hotel room because she's just leaving and she pretended to get ice. I was like, yes, Keanu. Acting. What
He's
acting?
got it.
How many acting?
This guy's going to be a star.
This guy, like, who kept hiring him throughout the 90s?
Yeah.
That's the question. How did he make it through the 90s to get to the Matrix?
Probably because he's a nice guy and he's a hard worker.
That's true.
That's true. He seems really nice, and he seems pretty professional when he's on.
And I'll tell you what, if
set.
that guy wants to be on a podcast, I've got one for him.
Yeah, Keanu, you are welcome to our podcast.
All times.
You know what? Why don't you just put with Keanu Reeves on this episode? It will just kind of manifest it. We'll just work on
8-ball corner pocket. I love it. Just calling shots.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what?
But we haven't even lifted the triangle yet. It's 8-ball corner pocket.
Everyone who's listening to this, just get ready, because next episode we're gonna have Michael Chiklis, famed star of that one show on ABC, and also The Thing.
Of course, that one show. Yes. Okay.
I'm gonna even out my
keep-
plan. No, Lincoln, I'm not keeping on moving on, because my plan is to even out the ratio between hair-ed people and bald people.
Oh, I see. I'm gonna have to spend a good half hour googling who Michael Chiklis is, so we have things to talk about once he's on.
That's okay. I actually have a lot of questions for Michael Chiklis. I can lead that one.
So Johnny turns on the TV, and he types in a phone number individually, like we still somehow have to in the 21st century. So I guess it got that right. Using a TV remote to type in individual numbers on a screen. And he calls Ralphie, who is his kind of, coordinator for the information that Johnny Mnemonic has been tasked to carry to and fro. And he talks to him about that he wants some operation, and he says, "I want it all back." And this is probably the first frustrating part of this movie to me.
Really? That's a bold statement. This is the first time you were
Well,
like,
there's lots
I
of
probably shouldn't be watching this.
This is the first time I physically felt frustrated.
Okay.
Because the idea that the information couriers have to sacrifice their childhood memories in order to have this high-paying, high-profile job is so
It's
cool.
very good.
That is such a powerful idea. The idea of sacrificing your child, sacrificing something deep about your humanity in order to fulfill this kind of this role that's necessitated by capitalism and the information economy. And the movie really does not care at all about how interesting that idea could potentially be.
Not even slightly. I feel like that's a running theme in this movie. It's just It sets up so many interesting concepts, and it is so horny for everything else but those interesting concepts.
It makes such a point of telling you that it doesn't care
Yeah.
about anything that made the short story or any sci-fi for that matter interesting.
It's almost like, okay, it actually makes sense that the same guy wrote both of them, because it's like he wrote the short story and got all his cool, good ideas out, and then he wrote the movie and he was like, I don't know, what if they were on a bridge or some shit? It doesn't matter. Like,
He had too much time. He could explore too many other things.
Yeah, 90 minutes was too long for this guy.
far too long.
This might be the most 4-hour, 90-minute movie I've ever had to watch.
Yeah, it's a tight 90, and it takes a year and a half.
So
It's crazy.
So long.
That seems like it could potentially be a running theme of this podcast, is movies that are shorter. They're short, but somehow so much longer than you want them to be.
Yeah.
So Johnny is sent to Beijing to collect. Oh, we need to establish that there's a virus. There's a virus around. It's 2021 and there's a new virus. And he is sent to Beijing where there are protests against the government measures against the virus, which was another oddly specific one to get right.
Yeah. I didn't love how correct it was about so many things.
He goes to Beijing to pick up some new information, and I don't know about you two, but at this point I was like, oh, it's the cure for the virus. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that at all.
Really?
No, not at all.
No,
Because I feel like the whole virus thing just seems like until they brought it up halfway through when the love interest starts convulsing, it just seemed like something else that wasn't going to apply at all to the story and wasn't going to be interesting.
Which is totally, I could see that
they certainly
happening.
got you. They tricked you. I
feel like
they bombarded you with so much information. You had no idea which one was going to be
I
important.
feel like that probably was a great viewing or a better viewing experience, because at least
probably.
At least for me, Link and I was in the same way. Like when they said that, my first thought was, okay, there's no reason for them to randomly introduce this whole virus concept without this being a part of it. Preston, what's it like to have the childlike, youthful glee of watching movies and not knowing what's coming?
You know, now looking back is like, okay, that was kind of stupid of me for not realizing that. But at the same time, like, it wasn't very much of like a reveal or a twist anyways. So
No.
Not all that satisfying.
We have a little twin fake out. I love a twin fake out when he goes into the hotel. And it's one kid, but it's actually two kids. Gotcha, a twin fake out. I don't really know why that was in it. I like the shot of the aquarium.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was.
I wrote a thing. I wrote globe aquarium. No further details. It was just like, that's cool. I want one.
A fishbowl,
nice
if you
little.
will.
But it's like two fish bowls, one on top of the other.
Yeah. One of them's upside down.
Yeah.
Right.
How confusing.
Or just one fishbowl and the whole thing's upside down.
I thought it was a full sphere.
I think it's just a.
Oh, maybe
I think it's
it
just
was.
a sphere.
Yeah.
Oh well, stop the podcast. Let's go back and watch a movie again.
Oh,
That's got to be
no,
confusing
no.
for fish, right? Like because if
well,
it has,
they're on the Earth. The Earth is a
if
sphere.
it has, yeah, but it's a big sphere, Lincoln. This is a little sphere, almost the size of their bodies. If it has straight walls, I feel like fish could understand that there's like, hey, I hit that wall, and that wall is always going to be there. But if it were me, like spheres confuse me all the time. I feel like if I.
You just
If I was
walk
a
into a
fish,
circular
you just, like-
room and just keep walking in circles. There's a joke about that.
Yeah, like a turkey.
Do you go late? Do you like arrive late to school or to work? I mean, and they're like, why? And you're like, oh, I caught my own head in the mirror. And I was just so fascinated by its spherical nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just like show up to a roundabout and just keep driving in circles because there's no corners.
Guys,
to
it's
get you out
not
of there.
circles. It's
Where do I exit?
not circles that I would have a problem. All I'm saying is if I was a fish and there was just an invisible sphere, you know what? If I was a human being like I am currently, and I was just in an invisible sphere, I would be very confused about where the boundaries of my existence are.
I really, really hate to break the news to you about the fact that you do live in an invisible
No,
sphere.
Lincoln, no.
I am so sorry.
And actually, you know what? Yes, and I'm very confused about my boundaries. I don't know how high I can jump. That's why I don't do it very far.
You're really suspicious about planes. Like how do they get back down? How do they know where the ground is?
Is there
anymore?
like a door
Can we appreciate-
that you can get into the sphere?
This is not only is this the least interesting, part of this movie, it's not even the most interesting like fish tank water container that's in this movie. And yet this is what we're talking about.
Wait, what's the other water container? What are
It's
you
got the
dolphins
dolphin,
in?
right?
Oh, the dolphin,
Yeah.
of course, yeah. Oh, we'll get to the dolphin.
All I'm saying is
Keanu-
if I was in an invisible sphere that I could move in any axis, okay? X, Y, whatever the other ones are. If I could move in any of the axes and I just randomly hit a wall at any given time, I would have some questions about where I'm allowed to go. And I probably would have...
I see your
I
point.
would have, thank you,
Jonathan.
Lincoln. I would have trust issues.
Sorry that we've been acting like really crafty genies, just twisting your words against you.
There's a lot of work, but I'm glad that we're all on the same page.
Keanu walks through the lobby with the aforementioned fish tank in it.
My only point
And it,
is that if I was in...
And he goes into the elevator, and the fish tank is no longer in
Okay,
view.
thank you. Okay.
And he takes a little plug and he puts it in his brain, very much like he will do in another 4 years. And he uses a memory double that gives him from 80 gigabytes of data to a cool 160.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about that except like literally my phone is more data than
Yeah,
that.
I like that could barely hold the PS5 Spider-Man 2 game. Like it's a little touch and go on whether or not it would have enough capacity for that game.
160 though, I do not understand how the information that he ends up carrying could possibly be 160 gigabytes. It's like a whole bunch of text files and documents
Yeah,
and stuff.
but they're probably locked up real good. And as I started saying that
Oh, it's
sentence,
like the
I realized I
encryption.
don't know anything about file types or sizes.
Encryption takes a lot of data. Oh, that actually is true.
Yes! What's up, everybody? I said a good smart thing. I did it.
Good job, John. We're so proud of you.
Yeah, really
Thanks.
heavily encrypted data is a much higher bit rate. Like HDMI, one of the reasons why you have to have so many connectors on the HDMI is to transmit encoded data. You can transmit 4K data over a single line, but you can't transmit that with encryption.
Wow. You know what's most amazing about that to me is that you somehow memorized word for word the opening crawl, I assume, because I was paying the same amount of attention to what you just said.
I mean, that's what I remember. I don't remember
we
reading most of it from all the flashing lights and
Yeah.
We see a beautiful flash animation skyline,
Yes, we do.
which really looked like it was drawn by a third grader, and they just kept it in for some reason. And it's the only one in the movie.
Right.
Which I'm very what was their purpose in doing this just once?
there wasn't.
All I can think is that maybe, because isn't there a rule with theaters that if you get past a certain point, they don't allow you to get a refund without like harassing a manager? So maybe they were just like, let's put some
Yeah.
interesting shit at the beginning of this movie, and then eventually you can't get your money back. Sorry.
Keanu goes to a hotel room where he meets a bunch of dorky scientists, and they emphasize a lot that it is extremely dangerous to have this much data in its brain.
Yeah.
I don't have anything I don't have enough commentary. I just have the plot written
Well,
down.
so they make a big deal that his memory implant is not going to be enough storage, and that somehow having all of his data in his brain is going to kill him, and that's why he needs to get it out. Mm-hmm. Versus the far more interesting premise of, hey, I want to get this data out so I can get, my like childhood memories back in. Yeah.
back. Yeah, you know what? That is a much more interesting premise.
It would have been more like
The idea-
interesting and like humanizing. I don't want to say like realistic, but like
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I think I know what you mean. Like, coherent within the universe of the
yes,
story.
thank you.
Like cohesive. that would gel with the narrative. No, Preston, the problem is that would be
Right.
interesting.
Right.
Problem is that would be compelling.
Right. And you know, I feel like that's a fairly common thing that we end up discussing with all of these movies is, hey, here's this actually interesting storyline
Yeah.
that never gets fully explored that would have made a far better movie.
That's true. We do talk about what if this movie was compelling quite a bit.
This one, I think especially, really, there are so many seeds of an interesting story to be told and really interesting things that you can do with the frame and with special effects.
Oh, yeah.
That I would actually say it seems ripe to be remade. And I bet you could have Keanu in it again.
I would love it if you had Keanu in it, and I already know who should direct it, and it's Gareth Edwards, who
Go
made
ahead.
the creator. I think
Oh, that would be perfect.
I think he could sell this world beautifully.
I think he could. I think he could. I would love leaning into the giving up your childhood for the access to memories. That's excellent. I would lean into the like giant disparity between the luxury of the upper class and the kind of down, build it yourself kind of culture of the low tech.
For sure. I feel like the only thing if they remake this movie that they can't lose is the sort of implication that on every file holding, every storage device, it's going to say, when you put too much stuff in the storage for it to store, it's going to say, we can't do that. It's going to be dangerous. And if you find the secret button that just says, nah, please do it anyway, it'll be like, cool. I got you, bro. That feels important to me.
There's no limit to storage anymore.
No.
that's this world. He sits down, he pulls out a mini disc, which love seeing a good mini disc in the wild these days. And there's a cool dolly zoom, another genuine moment of artistry in this terrible movie. And we enter into funky internet animation territory.
Yeah, Spy Kids Town.
Spy Kids Town. I wrote down a quote from the short story because the short story has a pretty detailed description of what it's like to recite or receive the information. And the quote is, going into idiot/savant mode is never as dramatic as I expect. As this movie took this idea and just said, no.
No, it's as dramatic as you were prepared for it to be.
It's about just as dramatic as you'd expect. So he gets chucked, if I may use the verb.
Chuck from the show,
Lincoln?
chucked?
Chuck from the show, Chuck. And he gets given the information in the most 90s way possible.
Yeah, I saw that disc, and for just a second, I was like, oh, okay, interesting. They're creating some sort of alternate future where like physical media is still important and a presence. And then I remembered that was just a thing, and that I don't think they could comprehend the concept of not using a little disc, which I think is very cute.
No, they couldn't. Which is the kind of another funny reference. Keanu, I guess, yes, Keanu. He gives someone a mini disc at the beginning of The Matrix. That's the file that he gives them. Oh. And then he gets warned about the White Rabbit.
That's right.
So again, there's a bunch of dramatic music. I mentioned Blade Runner, Preston, so I'm glad that you already also mentioned it. This movie is like if someone looked at Blade Runner and was like, oh, I could do that.
Yeah. I think whoever came up with the visual aesthetic for this movie, once again, watched the third Mad Max and Blade Runner tripping on acid. And that's how they designed this movie.
He was talking to his production crew. He was talking to the producers, and he was like, okay, we're going to make it look like Blade Runner. And they're like, you realize this movie has no budget for like cityscapes or miniatures or really complicated effects work or keying work or anything. And he goes, oh, that's fine. That's totally fine.
Good thing they didn't use any of that in Blade Runner.
He was like, oh, Blade Runner, they use miniatures in Blade Runner? Yeah. Well, can we use just like a drawing? What? Yeah, a drawing. I'm a drawer. I'm an artist.
I know how to do a drawing. Can I make that for the movie?
Can I make that? And they're like, I guess.
I have a note here that I feel like is on theme. I wrote that in a cosmic balance sort of sense, I feel like the existence of this movie justifies Denis Villeneuve.
Like this is his life's work, is to slowly undo the damage that Johnny Mnemonic has
Pretty
done to
much,
the world.
yeah. Like for every good there is a bad, and for every Johnny Mnemonic there is a Denis Villeneuve.
I like the idea that it's one 90-minute movie and an entire director's filmography is devoted to making up for it.
I would say that all of his films up to this point combined, if you watch them back to back to back, would actually fly faster than this movie.
No, I
Yeah,
had
probably.
Dune and then 2049 were two movies that I thought of when I was thinking of how many 3 or 4 hour movies I could watch that would feel shorter than this one.
For sure. Yeah.
I think the story and the movie both have an element of greasiness and griminess that I've never seen Denis Villeneuve make a movie that has any grease on the walls.
I'm trying to think if I agree with that.
The other two are just staring into space, running through every
Well, okay,
movie.
all right.
I don't
Denis Villeneuve
disagree
has
with
seen.
you.
So
But I
here's
think
the
he
thing.
could do it.
Lincoln does this thing that we call Lincolning, where he comes up with a point, and before thinking about whether or not he actually thinks that that's true, he'll just say it as if it is, and then no matter what you say, he won't disagree with himself. So every time he makes a bold claim, I have to think through my Rolodex of information to go, is this a real smart thing that Lincoln said, or did he just say something stupid that he thinks is right?
Because if it's a smart thing, it's just pure dumb luck. It's not like I thought about it any longer.
Right. The same thought process went into it. No, I don't disagree with that.
Wow, this is crazy.
So, well,
It's
hang on.
unprecedented.
I
a
don't disagree
first?
with you, Lincoln. However, I think that if he decided to, he could handle putting some grease in a movie.
He could grease it up a
I mean,
little
I think
bit.
he can better than freaking Johnny Longo. We're talking about a real, actual director who has directed more than one single movie in his life.
That's fair. That's very
I
fair.
can't believe it. I can't believe his name is Longo.
Guys, Johnny Longo on set.
So what happens next,
um,
Lincoln?
Keanu stores
What's the next
too much
thing?
data in his brain. He stores too much data in his little brain, and he goes to the bathroom and his nose is bleeding, which is bad in movies. If you're in a movie and your nose is bleeding, it's bad news.
Not good.
And then he does an amazing Tai Chi relaxation square
Yeah.
that I am absolutely convinced nobody told him to do.
And never
I think
happens
Keanu
again for
just
the rest
brought
of the
that on
movie.
set.
I think he had it already. I think he had it in him. I think he did that every time right before they started a take, he did that. And they went, you know what? Let's just start a take and then tell him we started so that he does this square in
It
front
was
of us.
his
I like
method
that. I
of
also-
calming down after hearing whatever batshit crazy idea Longo had.
Yeah, he just like under his breath. They had to cut it out, but under his breath, you just hear fucking Longo.
Well, they just put a camera in the bathroom, and he just did it all. They saw him doing it in the bathroom,
Oh, yeah.
all on his own, and they said, "Hey, that might be cool in this movie."
And yeah, because he had a really bad nosebleed. Because he was storing too much data in his brain.
Yeah.
They gave him too many pages of script to memorize, and his nose started bleeding.
And he was like, I gotta go do my Tai Chi.
Yeah, you notice they never show that bathroom in the same shot that they show the rest of the hotel room. So
True.
there you go. I actually, now that I said that, that was another Lincoln. I think
They
they actually
100%
do
do.
show that.
Because he leaves the bathroom,
sake of
goes
the
back
goof,
into
let's
the
pretend they
bathroom,
didn't.
hides to wait for the dude, beats the dude up,
Oh, that's right.
and then leaves the bathroom again.
Yeah,
And I fell for it. I'm so ashamed.
that it was kind
You
of
done
fun.
been
That
linked,
part was kind of
John
fun.
Bon.
No, yeah, I got done linked.
In the book mentions, not the book, the story mentions that the Yakuza assassin, who there's only one of in the story, has a prosthetic thumb, and then from the thumb opens up, and there's a really thin, extra strong wire that he can use to cut people like a garrote. In this movie, it's magic glowing lightsaber wire,
Which
actually I'm
I
on
was
board
going to
with.
say, I think that's actually an improvement. Maybe the only one. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
It's awesome. It's amazing. We go into Keanu is waiting in the bathroom while the Yakuza come in and just absolutely wreck everybody. Then someone comes into the bathroom to try to assassinate him, and we see Keanu as as an actual action actor. And he's good in this, and he's been good this whole time.
Yeah, he hones his craft a little, I would say, by the time he gets to
Yeah, he gets better,
John Wick.
but it's really not bad. For an action scene with absolutely no drama at all, he's really pulling his weight.
Yeah, shot like an NBC documentary, like it's like a Peacock original. It's
Yeah, not a well-funded documentary.
No. I feel like this movie, my biggest gripe, and this is the least intelligent gripe you could have, but I feel like the one thing that this movie needed to go from exactly what it is now to like a movie that I would watch again is if it was not as it is currently, which is Die Hard rated R, but if it were RoboCop rated R, where people are just getting splattered across the walls, like just nasty, gross, gory, just destruction. That would have made this movie so much better to me.
I totally agree. There's a sense that this movie felt like it was made for TV.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there's this really strong sense that they're like refraining from showing anything that wouldn't be shown at 9 o'clock on NBC.
Yeah.
Keanu takes down the guy who infiltrates the bathroom, and he says, "Next time." Oh, no, wait, I got to do a Keanu impression. "Next time, knock, Baldy."
It is very good.
And it's excellent. Very good Keanu catchphrase.
Not his best line in the movie, but we'll get to that.
Oh, do you have one? Oh,
I definitely have one. One that I will be introducing into my regular vernacular.
Oh no.
I wonder if I have mine written down.
I'm really disappointed.
He puts on a little
that
wig.
He never said, "I'm such a technical boy."
Oh, tell me
I know,
about
isn't
it.
it such a good line from the book?
It's
the
not, but
story
tell me
author
about it.
had the opportunity. He wrote the screenplay. He had the opportunity to say, "Hey, I want this line in here," and he didn't put it in.
Well, I think the real problem with that is Johnny Mnemonic in the short story is an entirely different person than Johnny Mnemonic from the movie.
Yeah, they really
that's fair.
Constantined him. They took him from an interesting character with unique traits and made him just a guy, some guy who's a guy.
So generic. Like Johnny Mnemonic in the short story is not there's no glamour in his life at all. He's a very practical thinking kind of person. He's very he doesn't live the high life because of his job. He doesn't think of himself as an agent or a courier or anything.
Yeah. He does think of himself as a
and he has
technical
this-
boy, though.
As a technical boy.
I'm a technical
But
boy.
it kind of embodies that very sardonic, very kind of dry, cynical perspective.
Actually, like, can we do me just one small quick favor and say that line?
Yeah.
No, wait.
Say what line?
Wait. Before you say it,
I didn't even hear
Can
it.
you say it the way you read it, and then Preston and I will say it the way we read it?
Yes. This is
Are
exactly
you
what I
talking about I'm
wanted.
a very technical boy?
Yeah, say that one more time.
Okay, wait, I gotta I'm gonna go to the short story
here
and
we
read
go.
it in
Here
context.
we go. I'm
Good.
If they think you're crude, go technical. If they think you're technical, crude. I'm a very technical boy. No, I didn't like
I
that.
didn't like it either. Try again.
I'm a very technical boy. I didn't like that
I-
either.
I keep-
more
just keep-
whimsy in it. Put some
Just back to
whimsy on
back
it.
until you feel good about it. Just say it over and over. Because I've got it running in my head exactly how I heard it.
So I'm just gonna keep going trial and error until I
Until
match
you
it.
not until no yeah until you're happy with it. I don't have to be.
Oh, okay. Until I'm happy. I'm a very technical boy. No, that's too serious. I'm a very technical boy. Okay, I'm close. I'm
All right,
getting
he's
closer.
throwing it in.
I'm a very technical boy.
I think that was
There,
That
I'm
was
settling.
good. You're good with that. All right,
Folding.
good. Preston, would you like to, or do you want me to?
Go for it.
Okay, and then you will. Just to be clear,
Yep.
it's order.
I'm a very technical boy.
That's how you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just to
okay.
be clear, that's not his voice for the rest of it. It's like if they want like smart, go technical or whatever. He talks like a normal guy, and then
I'm a very technical boy.
Preston, actually, I will say when I read I'm a very technical boy, I thought of you. Like I thought, not in the voice that Jonathan's talking about, but I thought about that's the kind of thing that you would say. Like I imagine you doing what the person in the story does, which is like building their own gun from scratch.
Which is really
And
funny
thinking, yeah,
because
Preston's
I
also a
imagine
technical
you
boy.
saying that.
I don't know if I could be the
Yes.
tiebreaker. I also thought of Preston because he is our resident rocket raccoon.
Yeah, go ahead, Preston. What's your read?
I'm a very technical boy.
See, I like that. I think that's a good read because I think the character is being kind of sarcastic when he's saying it.
And very much in a like fourth wall break, dare I say Deadpool-esque. I'm a very technical boy.
I love this story. I love this short story, and I hate this movie so much.
So here, I have a question for you, because Lincoln, you hadn't seen this movie until like you proposed it to us.
Until I made you guys also watch it.
So I have two questions. Number one, how did you discover this short story? Number two, how did you discover that there was a movie attached to this short story? And number three, what were your feelings about this movie? Like being introduced to it from the short story.
And number four, what the hell, Lincoln? Come on, man.
Well, number one, I actually heard it as a movie. I learned about it as a movie first because I was in a class and the professor was telling us the difference between modernism and postmodernism. And he had the same exact taste in movies that we do. I am discovering as I take this class. He mentioned that there's a movie called Slaughterhouse about a sloth that goes on a killing rampage and told us that it was, quote, very good.
Tremendous.
And so I don't know how to ask him to be on this podcast, but I think he has the exact same taste in movies that we do. So yeah, I heard about it as a movie. Then I discovered it was actually a short story, and I Googled Johnny Mnemonic short story, and I clicked on the first result, and it was a PDF of the story, and I read it, and I was like, this is awesome. This is really cool. I like this. And then I read about the movie. I saw Keanu's beautiful face on the cover of it, and I thought, I just know that this is going to be perfect for this podcast. I just know it. And so I took a leap of faith. I bought the DVD on eBay. I read the short story, and then I made you guys watch it.
And credit.
And then, fifth question, what the hell?
Yeah, and now what the hell?
All I have to say is you're welcome.
Yeah, to be fair, Lincoln, you were dead on. Like, this was a very terrible movie that fits with the vibe that we are looking for this podcast. I hate to say it, but good work.
Yeah.
I know you hate to say it, so it really does mean a lot to me.
I know, this is your one compliment.
We have
for
gone
the next...
for 40 minutes, and we're literally 8 minutes into this movie.
Oh yeah, we gotta power through.
Ooh, do we have to?
We gotta go.
Can we use John's technique? Can we just skip the end? Save ourselves a lot of time.
Well, actually, we can. I'll kind of skip through a little bit, and then we could just say our points as we go.
Okay, that sounds good.
So Johnny gets the information. He goes to the free city of Newark, which looks exactly as it did in the 90s. There's a bunch of low-techs that are there. Oh, low-techs are like this underground movement. In the story, they're just kind of this subculture. They're just people who live in a place. And in this movie, they're like a full-on resistance movement against the, technocracy.
Oh, yeah. That's a big word.
Yes, John. You would know.
So I do have a note on this. Just because we went from, I don't remember what city we were in, but it was somewhere in China, I think. Maybe Beijing.
Shanghai.
What, was it Shanghai?
Oh, no, Beijing.
Okay,
Beijing.
okay.
It was Beijing.
So
you're right.
We went from Beijing to Newark, and my exact note was, did we run out of money, or are we making a point about the U.S. system? Because one of them looks so interesting and cool and futuristic. Not great looking, but cool and interesting. And the other does just look like Newark. Like it's just a place.
Yeah, they didn't do any.
Not at all.
They didn't do any rotoscoping over a still photo of the skyline with this one. We cut to a club in the future. You can tell it's a club in the future because there's 90s rock music playing and also an opera singer.
And fancy little drinks.
And fancy little drinks and fancy little costumes. And we meet not Millions. We meet someone named
Jane.
Where's her name? Jane. We meet Jane.
Jane Billions.
And this is another Jane Billions. Well, I would say Jane Thousands.
Jane many hundreds.
We are an order of magnitude lower than Molly Millions. So, John, you did get to describing to Molly Millions, right?
Yeah.
The character who is awesome, who is so cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Who has sunglasses grafted to her eyes. She's got razor sharp fingernails that can retract. She wears nondescript clothing, but she can just absolutely wreck you. And she's the true protagonist of the story. Like, even though it's told from Johnny's perspective, it's actually about Molly's growth and ascension within the Low-Techs. But no, we get Jane. And Jane wants so bad to be a bodyguard. It's her dream. It's her dream.
And she's just as cool.
And she's just as cool.
She's got dresses
the coolest,
sometimes.
She's got chainmail.
She has hair.
She has hair.
She fights those very androgynous other bodyguards, sort of.
She was available for the time that they were filming this movie.
She said yes to the pay rate, which was probably pretty low.
Her agent got her this job. The bodyguards you're talking about are the magnetic dog sisters.
Yeah.
Who I gotta admit I imagined as a lot more fun in the book, in the story than I did when I actually saw them.
I don't see how they could be more fun.
When did Fifth Element come out?
That's a good question.
Because both of those, both the magnetic dog sisters really feel like they would have just fit right into the Fifth Element verse.
Are you? Now you're on thin ice. Are you suggesting to me that the Fifth Element is less exciting than this general movie?
No, I'm saying that these characters don't fit in this universe, but they would fit better in a different universe.
Good. It was close. 97. Wow.
97. Oh, so it was this was before.
By 2 years. Which is incredibly sad because that is a markedly better movie. Like, it's not even close.
So we're introduced to Jane. She is everything that Molly Millions isn't. Which is to say, not interesting, not compelling, not fun to watch on screen. Yeah. Johnny then goes to a place that I guess he thinks he's supposed to go to, and they are like, time to die, and he goes, time, and then he hits his watch and a door blows up. Which is also when we get to see the beginning of Ice-T, the actor.
Yeah.
Who, this is another me just putting my cards on the table, 100% the best performance of the whole movie.
He's got something.
100%.
Yeah, anytime he's on screen, I was watching. I was in it.
And in this scene, he's attacked. He blows up the door, and then some guys try to attack him, and they shoot someone up in the rafter, and the guy falls down. And then the guys are about to tackle Keanu Reeves, and then there's this like musical hit, and then Ice-T tackles them. And it's the musical cue lines up so well with the with the action that I have a question for you guys. And do you think that there was a cut of this movie that was a comedy?
I'm going to say I think that there was a cut of this movie that Longo thought was a comedy.
Because this is the first time that I began to suspect this is almost a comedy. And my suspicion kept growing as the movie went on. that it actually was a comedy, and the editors are trying to hide that fact.
They're trying to be like, no, it's cool, dude. There's
not a lot of that interesting of stuff that happens. We kind of get to the point where the actual short story starts, which is where Johnny meets with Ralphie to exchange the information, and then we split right back away, and we're no longer in time with what the story happens.
Yeah, we just get pepperings of little like, oh, this could be, oh no, okay. Oh, maybe we're gonna, no, we're not gonna. Okay.
Jane climbs through the vents and saves Johnny because he's been captured.
You know what's exciting is I watched this within the last, well, we've been recording for about an hour, so within the last 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours. I don't know what happens between this, what you just said, and right about near the end of the movie.
So just like the story that you read.
Yeah, it was. I had the exact same experience.
The only thing in the middle is where we get another cool VR scene.
Oh, we got to get to that scene.
And let's get to it
that's
right
about the
now.
only interesting bit.
One quick note. The Matrix is literally a better adaptation of Johnny Mnemonic than the movie Johnny Mnemonic.
Sure. Somewhere in here, okay, I wrote that it took an hour to get where we could have gotten in 30 minutes. It's almost like this should have been a short story.
This could have been a 20-minute short film.
It could have been.
They walk through a sewer. They break into a computer shop, and he starts rattling off equipment. And he says, "I need a pair of iPhones." He says iPhone.
Now,
And then what's revealed later, he's talking about VR goggles, as in like earphones, iPhones.
Oh, is that what that
That's
is?
insane.
Oh, that makes
I
way
think
more
so.
sense.
I think that's what he
Huh.
meant. And then he navigates through the metaverse in his virtual world. And I wish every day that that's what the internet was like right now. Just bits and bytes flowing in a giant
You want Tron.
cityscape that I can navigate with my hands.
no, it kind of
Tron.
sounds like he wants Tron, but it looks like dog shit is what he wants.
Got it.
Yeah, so I want the original Tron. None of that legacy shit. I want my internet to be rotoscoped over a cheap 35 millimeter frame. You see that this is exactly the kind of universe that tech bros thought would be awesome, and you realize in this single breath that every single tech bro that cares about virtual reality didn't get it. Didn't get how this world is supposed to be a dystopia.
Yeah.
Oh, he's visited by a mysterious Digiwoman, a ghost in the machine. He threatens some guy who we never hear about, and he goes, I could crash you from here, man. And he holds up his hands like cyber claws. And I have no idea what he meant. I don't know what he meant.
Well, and then there's the whole.
Does it matter?
They put a virus on us, man. There's a virus.
I could crash you from here. Oh, and then the Yakuza are anxious to get a hold of this. And it's revealed that they're actually the company that, what is it? Pharmacom?
Yeah.
Genericorp. Genericorp has,
Genericorp.
they want to get they're hiring the Yakuza to get, oh, Preston just got it.
I'm glad you double dipped on that one, Lincoln.
Although, Lincoln, there is a actually in the opening title crawl, believe it or not, they actually mention that the corporations hire the Yakuza to do all their dirty work.
We see Genericorp hires a priest with a knife that is a crucifix.
mean-
John, I assume you are way into this.
I'm as far into this as a human being could be. Because that's Dolph Lundgren, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's Dolph Lundgren.
That is the best character. My favorite. Just like, why are we doing any of it? It's so beautiful.
This is the second moment that I thought, this is a comedy,
It has to be.
Like the crucifix and then the pan down and it's a knife. It's like, that's like just regular funny. That's just like an actual
It's
joke.
so good.
Like,
And
this is
and when we get cyber Jesus versus current Jesus, like the fight later, it's so good.
yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. The fact that the priest only kills people with nails.
Yeah. Oh.
he has to crucify everybody that
It
he
is
kills.
unacceptable to me that this guy doesn't have a spinoff.
It's another frustrating moment because you're like, this movie's making jokes that are funny. I'm laughing with this
Yeah.
movie. Why do I have to spend the rest of the time laughing at it? Like this.
Well, and he has this whole fun speech when he gets introduced says something along the lines of, oh, where do these lost people need to send? Straight to God? And
I know, it's
battles
so
on
good.
and on. It's like,
It's so good.
it's so much more cool.
Another concept that this movie is like, can you imagine if that happened? And we're like, oh, that's interesting. And they're like, ha, fuck you. We're not going to talk about that
Stop it.
ever again.
Stop imagining it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. So after this moment, it's revealed that Jane has nerve attenuation syndrome.
Which, can I just request that we call that Johnny Pneumonia from now on?
Johnny Pneumonia. Oh, episode title.
Hey!
Hey, it's rare that we land on one in an actual
Very
episode.
rare.
Yeah, so she has Johnny Pneumonia, and they go to see Spider. Nothing really interesting happens in it, except he says that the cause of the disease is all the electronics around me, which is what my grandparents think about the current plague. But
Well, I mean, your granddad is Richard Longo or whatever his name was.
he produces beautiful drawings for us all the time. We go to a train station turned hospital, another frustratingly interesting
100%.
idea that is not explored at all. This is the time that the camera decides to spin around a la Michael Bay for about a minute and a half and then stops. thoughts about this. Oh, this is when it's actually revealed that he has a cure for Johnny Pneumonia.
Yeah.
Which I find that sort of got me because like the whole thing is like this is super secure. His whole purpose as a courier is that this is super secure, and that there's like 3 frames of a movie is the only way to unlock. And this doctor just starts like digging around in his brain. Just goes, "Oh, hey, guess what? This is what it is." That just seems sort of.
Oh wait, I was trying to, Preston, as you were saying that, I was trying to remember how they knew. It's because the message was intended for them. That's why.
Oh, that's right.
They knew that's what they were supposed to be getting.
Okay. That's right.
Because remember, he plugs a phone module into a phone booth and calls a bunch of people and like figures out. No, that's when he's doing cyber techno hacking.
That's right.
He figures out like the name of a
There we
doctor.
go.
That was who he was supposed to go to. Yeah, so he that's kind of a weird twist. Also very strange that Spider didn't tell him before now.
Why would he?
That, oh, you're the courier. You're actually who we're looking for. They mention that they're going to go see Jones, and that is when I started just stomping my feet in anticipation to see Jones. I love Jones. I just love him.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited to see him.
When they said Jones, I was like, they won't. They're not going to do it.
I wanted so bad. I wanted it so bad. I was like, oh, we better see Jones.
But they just made
We better see Jones.
totally uncool and uninteresting and like took away all of the.
We'll get to it. Wait, Preston, stop. We'll get into it.
Sorry.
How dare you have an opinion, Preston, at the wrong time?
How
sorry.
dare I try to move this thing
Well,
along to an interesting part of this movie? How dare I?
Well, I wanted to introduce Jones at the proper time.
Well, Preston is jonesing for a Jonesin.
Clearly. Well, Lincoln, good thing you're the big bad editor and you can just chop all this out. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, we'll just put you out of the whole
defeating.
podcast.
Yeah, you could just take me out. I don't give a shit. It's fine.
Oh,
It's fine.
Preston, let's take a moment and just acknowledge that you are the most valuable part of this podcast. You are the only
Yeah.
reason the other two of us are funny.
That's true.
It's because we're trying to make you uncomfortable.
That's a factor for sure.
This is true. Well, and if I wasn't here, John couldn't gang up on you quite as much, because then it would just be mean. Versus with the two of us, it's
it would just be
funny
bullying.
because
That is also true.
comedy.
Well, the reason I wanted to stop before we get to Jones is that they arrive at the low-tech home base, which is built on a bridge, which is also a very cool idea, very cool location. Would have been fun to, see it. And we have these 2 low-tech guards that are just little giggle bugs, and they giggle so hard at Johnny Mnemonic calling for them to let him into the low-tech home base. And they decide to drop a car on Spider's van. Spider he drove them to the train station in a van, and then Spider gets killed by the bad priest man, and they've driven the van to the low-tech household, after which point they drop a car on the now empty van. And the reason I establish all this is that Ice-T comes out. He finally realizes, and he goes, "Where's Spider?" And they go, "Spider's dead." And he looks at the van. And they go, "No, he died earlier."
No, before this.
And I was like, "Damn it, you got me again, movie. That was funny."
I like that moment. And I forget that Keanu has, first off, before we keep going, the little guard not letting them up, hilarious to me, because we've already established that Jane, used to run with the low-techs. So instead of her just, calling up the secret password or whatever, instead we get to hear Keanu go on his little temper tantrum.
His very discount Jim Carrey temper tantrum.
Harry.
I'm pretty sure that we're talking about where the best line in the movie is. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
There's a lot of good moments, but this might be later, so I could be wrong. But the only moment that made me audibly full-blown laugh out loud is when he stands up and he opens his arms all wide and he screams, "I want room service!" Best line in the movie.
Exactly.
This is something I will be incorporating into my daily life. I love it.
How would we have felt if Jim Carrey really was in this role?
I could see it.
I think he would have done a much, much better job.
Well, then this movie would
he
have
would've-
actually been a comedy.
Right.
Yeah, it would have just been a comedy. And I think that's so much of it actually works as a comedy. There's so many places that I'm convinced they were actually trying to make us laugh.
But then how would we get the deep cultural analysis of sometimes people are bad sometimes?
Which brings us to Jones.
Really, that's seriously.
We're at Jones.
That's the segue you're going to use.
That's the segue. I could have think about the fact that I could have done this whole time and I chose not to. I could have just said, which brings us to Jones, and I didn't.
And when you said it earlier, I thought that you had like a whole build up, like a whole introductory thing. And
I just want to talk about how I'm so sad that little Jones is in such a small tank. I feel bad for the guy.
It could be worse. He could be in a sphere.
I actually think a dolphin would have had more fun in this
I
sphere.
think they would be equally confused as a fish might be.
Jones is horrifying.
In what way?
He is just in a very like in your gut when you see this little dolphin with a techno gear and he doesn't have one of his eyes and it's all metal, and then you hear a dolphin noise.
Oh yeah,
which I was not prepared for emotionally.
For sure.
To hear a dolphin noise. I was so my notes are all so excited about Jones, and then I actually see him and I just am so sad about little Jones in his little tank.
you're not wrong.
I think they really did it. What?
Oh, no, sorry, continue. Say what you're going to say so I can disagree with you.
Oh. Well, I was going to say, I think they did do a good job of making him feel really disconcerting and unsettling in a way that like you're supposed to kind of feel that this is something very, very wrong with the world, is a world that would produce a cybernetic dolphin. Which I think I'm glad they didn't, I don't know, maybe I'm not glad they didn't go for comedy, because it is kind of funny up until then, and then you're like, oh, this is terrible. This is just animal cruelty.
Yeah, it's just actively sad at that. It should feel Hitchhiker's Guide-ish, and instead it's just like I kind of see what Pete is talking about.
Yeah. John, Preston, what were you going to say?
I redact my previous statement because I do agree with you. That being said...
Oh, no.
In a Twinkie Talk first.
This is a Twinkie Talk second.
Wow.
Both times this episode.
I think with Jones, I think they could have done... I don't want to say like make him more unsettling, but like given him a more active, like personified role in the actual hacking. Like, correct me if I'm wrong.
I do like in the short
but
story.
I think he just sort of like...
I agree with you. I like that in the story how he actually has a little bit of agency.
Yeah.
Like he has to like consent to do this. They gotta like get him on board with this. Whereas this one he feels more like a plot mechanic.
Definitely. It's like, hey...
Which makes it even sadder that he's in such a small tank. Right.
But I think is like, hey, here's this dolphin that's like basically a computer more than, here's this, I don't know. I also felt like in the story, he's got, I think it's a heroin addiction.
He's got a heroin addiction.
This sounds so weird, but like, I feel like that was like a really interesting point in the story that doesn't get, I don't know. I feel like
it's a good moment.
Yeah.
It's a moment of weird stillness in the story where they have to kind of confront this kind of their history of their world kind of confronts them all in one moment with this dolphin. Which is why I was so excited to see it. I really should have known better.
I just wish they talked about the dolphin's divorce. That would have really sold the deal for me. We missed the opportunity for a Dolphin v. Dolph Lundgren, which would have been very good.
Yeah,
we
did.
No.
We did. Very strange that both are in the same movie. No, it does happen.
You get Dolphin v. Dolph Lundgren.
He zaps him with his I don't know, psychic blast.
Whatever that is.
That's
Yeah.
right.
There's not a killing floor in this movie, which just so sad. Keanu puts on a headset, which is a very cool looking headset, I will say. And he enters the Digiverse for a second, and then he has to leave again because the whole base is getting attacked by the Yakuza. Really, really hankering for a killing floor at this stage. Like what a What a missed opportunity. This would have been so cool. I really want to see one.
I also had a
see it
real
in my mind. I wanna see it in
hankering for
real
a
life.
killing floor.
Would have been so cool. Like, I don't understand how you write that and don't think that it would be good in a movie.
I also knew what the killing floor was when I watched this. So that's good.
So, John, you had a better experience because you weren't promised to.
Honestly,
you weren't promised that
I did.
scene.
The concept of a killing floor, that is the same as, like, also there's a cupcake that eats people. Like, both of those were equally plausible in this movie, and neither of them happened, and I'm fine with that.
Where it is revealed that this cyber woman, this digighost, has been a lady that her mind was scanned into the computer after she died, I think.
Maybe.
And she wants Generic Corp to be good instead
Sure.
of bad. And so she helps them. They use the thumb wire against the bad guy, slice him in half, and then Keanu enters the cyberverse for the worst looking digital model of a man I have ever seen in my entire
This
life.
is okay. So I questioned in this moment, were they on some level trying to make it look like a guy? Was the goal for it to look kind of guy-ish? Because it did not. The goal not achieved.
Goal definitely not.
You missed the
achieved.
mark.
I like the this is another one where you were frustrated that I didn't actually lean into this when Jones enters the Digiverse and he's like a dolphin who's guiding him through the cyber waters. I really wanted to see more Jones helping out. Like that was kind of fun. It was like, oh, this is how the dolphin can help.
Yeah, it didn't feel any different from the first time Keanu was in there. Just that we didn't get cool
it didn't at
VR
all.
gloves and
It was just a lot yuckier.
Actually, I think the first time he's in the Digiverse is cooler.
Yeah. I also think that scene needs to get recut into some sort of a music video. Potentially Daft Punk, if I'm right.
I support
Yeah,
this.
actually, you're right. You're 100% right. We have a couple flashbacks throughout the movie, but this is where they are fully realized. There's a couple flashbacks to his one birthday, I guess, that he remembers that they decided to film.
Yeah.
So he remembers that he once had a birthday, the only birthday he's ever had in his life. Which makes sense why he became a courier, because if you only ever had one birthday, you wouldn't be so keen on preserving your childhood.
You're not
memories.
missing much. Yeah.
This is definitely where you see, like, in a all film world where you actually have to buy physical film to shoot a movie on. They can only shoot one childhood scene because they run out of film. In a digital world, I can imagine them setting up a whole bunch of scenes and shooting them all quickly.
Sure. Get a couple actors.
And then we actually
rage
feel like
that kid up. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that was one where I was like, oh yeah, they just didn't have the budget to shoot any other flashback except the one birthday flashback. He get his memories back, and then they fight Dolph one more time. And he kind of wrecks everybody, and then they use the Joneses chi blast on him.
Right.
And it kills him. And then he gets set on fire, I think.
Yeah, he gets burned
it
straight directly to hell. It's fantastic.
And then there's another great joke where we cut to him rising again, and then Ice-T goes, "Get that trash out of here." and then it turns out they're just lifting him up.
Yeah.
And that's another one. That is literally like there's a setup, there's a line, and then there's a payoff. It is shot exactly how, if this was a comedy, that's exactly, you wouldn't have shot it any different at all.
At
that point, I was convinced this is a comedy. This movie was a comedy at some point.
Lincoln, I am obsessed with you just reconciling with the concept that there might be a serious movie with some jokes in it. And then I love that you're like,
that's
no,
the thing. This is not a serious
secret
movie,
comedy.
though.
It had to be a comedy.
This isn't a serious movie, though.
It thinks it is,
This movie
though.
is so ridiculous on every level.
But it's
It tries
so
so
funny.
ridiculous. Like I just do not believe that someone would lean into it that hard, sincerely, and include any jokes at all. Like, it doesn't make any sense that someone could believe it and also be able to construct such a good joke.
Look at how the rest of this movie is constructed, Lincoln. I don't know if there was
Right.
a lot of thought behind the construction of this movie.
And that's about the movie.
Oh, we made it, boys.
Basically,
We made
all
it.
is well. They cure the disease.
We did it.
The cure to Johnny Pneumonia goes out, It's broadcast to the nations, and now the world is better.
I like that everybody just kind of went, cool, a cure. That was nice. That was a nice kind of thing that they didn't get right. Because there was a part of me that was worried that they were going to figure out the cure, and then this movie was going to be so accurate in predicting that one element of the future that there was going to be another like 30, 40 minutes of people just debating whether or not it was a good idea.
That's true. There was a cure to our plague, and it did go out, and half the population of our country said, I don't like this cure.
No thank you, find a different one.
Sorry, Johnny. I know it took a heck of a lot of work to get this cure.
I actually feel like people would be more inclined, this is like real actual life, but sort of, I feel like people would be more inclined to accept the cure to our plague, our most recent plague, if someone came out and was like, hey, Keanu Reeves went into the metaverse and he found this cool shit to put into your bones and body. And we would all be like, cool, man.
It's a marketing issue.
Yes.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
Yeah. So let's talk about what this movie's an equivalent punishment
This movie is the cinematic equivalent of having dry, itchy contacts that you can't take out for another couple of hours.
This movie is the cinematic equivalent, similarly, to rubbing your eyes way too hard.
This movie is the cinematic equivalent of sitting for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, watching paint dry, touching the paint, and then realizing you were actually watching the wrong paint. That paint's been dry for 18 years.
This movie is a cinematic equivalent to when you wake up at 5:30 in the morning and you're an hour and a half early for like anything that you need to wake up for, and your brain has lost all sense of time and space. And you have no idea like where you are or what's going on.
This movie is the cinematic equivalent of going to a Subway sandwich store, ordering a sandwich, and then not watching, and then they make your sandwich, you get your sandwich, and it's been tuna fish, and you didn't realize it. And then you open it up, and it's tuna fish, Bummer Town. Either that or the cinematic equivalent of a Coke at a Subway restaurant.
From the
machine.
tap,
Yeah.
not from from the fridge, from the machine.
The
for
one
sure.
that tastes like pipes a little bit.
Yeah.
This is the cinematic equivalent of sitting down to eat a meal, taking one bite, realizing it's terrible, and knowing that you have to finish it.
Because grandma's watching,
Exactly.
and she'll be
and
sad
you
if
have
you don't.
no option of getting
She made it. She made the asparagus with melted Kraft singles on the top of it. This movie is a cinematic equivalent to listening to 2010's dubstep with one single $5 earbud in one ear.
That's a good one.
This movie is the cinematic equivalent of getting one of those digital frames and then not charging it or putting any photos on it. So you try to turn it on and it's just a well-framed black square.
A well-framed black square. That's all we can hope this podcast can ever be, right? This is a cinematic equivalent to when you've eaten a whole bag of red Doritos and you want to get the little crumblings at the bottom, and you straighten the bag out and lift it up to your mouth and like shuffle those bad boys in. But then it's like way too salty and you're like, why did I do this?
This movie is the cinematic equivalent of going to print something and then having to mess around with the orientation and the scale and the paper size. And then when you finally press print, your printer doesn't work. And you spend another 2 hours messing with the printer to make that work.
I am so surprised that we keep finding these. Like, why do they work? Like, why do I have strong opinions about which ones were like really applicable and which ones work? Because that one person that you just said is so
That was
close.
so good.
That is how I felt watching this movie.
This movie is the cinematic equivalent of trying to log into your Gmail account and Gmail won't let you, and then you give it the right password and it goes, no thank you, you have to do a different thing, wait 24 hours, and then you can suddenly randomly log in and Gmail goes, holy shit, did you know you tried to log into me?
I could crash you from here.
Crash you from here.
Okay, I think that about does it. Preston, are you the one who decides the next movie? Tell us.
Our next film for next week, or whatever, next episode, is going to be After Earth, starring Jaden Will Smith.
Have you seen After Earth, John?
What?
This is so salient. This is so good. This is so on theme with my
I knew
movie.
it was gonna happen. I could smell it. I could smell it in the air. I woke up today and I went, "Yeah, we're doing After Earth."
Preston, I've been looking for an excuse to watch After Earth for the better part of a decade.
So
now.
here's the backstory for this. So I remember, let's see. So this movie came out in 2013, and I remember seeing like trailers or ads or whatever, and thinking, "Oh man, I bet that's just the sickest movie ever." And then, watching 65, the Adam Driver dinosaur movie.
Yeah.
And thinking, hey, this seems a lot like this After Earth movie that somehow just lodged itself in my self-consciousness. So I said, hey, this looks like a really terrible movie, but I'm going to watch it anyways. And now I'm going to subject you guys to the same thing.
John, have you seen it?
Oh man, years ago at my grandparents' house, and they had a TV that was like
Okay.
18 inches. So no, I'm gonna say no.
I'm so Preston, when we started this podcast, I got this little like excited feeling of like, oh, Preston's gonna choose a movie. Like I'm gonna get I'm gonna get a new movie recommendation. And I literally don't think you could have done any better than this. This is so good. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Do we have homework for After Earth?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh no, he has to come up with it.
This is directed by Shyamalan?
Yeah.
Realize
That's why I
that
wanna
until
watch
just
it.
now.
I'm a Shyamalan apologist.
Same.
I think actually all three of
Yeah.
us might be.
I know, like suddenly I want to like really
didn't
like
think
this
Glass was
movie
that bad.
after seeing that he directed it.
Maybe we will.
Maybe we will. Maybe this will be a Dune situation, but all three of us will like it instead of just one of us. Preston, you got that homework?
know-
Got that sweet
Got
homework?
that sweet H.
I can't think of anything.
Yes, week off. What's up?
We have to do some. I'm gonna make some sort of musical cue for no homework, so people know that this isn't normal. This is special. Okay, all of us do that at the same
Okay.
time. Ready, go.
That's gonna be super fun for you to cut in a
poison.
line later.
Well, let's wrap this motherfucker up.
Put a bow on it, why don't you?
I realize I haven't been
guys haven't-
cussing enough
No,
in
none
this
of
show.
I feel like I'm really carrying the ribbon for us on that one.
really working for our M rating. So I'm trying to pick it back up a little because I think it is funny to
Yeah.
cuss. It is.
Yeah,
Thanks,
we
bitch.
didn't really have a lot of swears
so-
in this one.
Thanks, shithead. Fuck you. See, it is funny. Thank you for listening to Twinkie Talk, brought to you by the Evening Brothers. I have been Cyber Lincoln. I could crash you from here.
I have been however many gigabyte John. I said 3
Three.
gigabyte John. Use it.
And I've been Brother Preston. I want room service.
Oh fuck, that was it. That was the better one.
I-
Shit.
Yep. I mean, I'm not sad.
Goodbye.